while back, I answered a series of questions from the Dirty Christian that he claimed that atheists wouldn't answer. I even linked to my video response in his comments, and lots of atheists did the same thing. Of course, he never responded, as I figured he wouldn't, even though he claims that he spoke to lots of atheists following his video. For some reason, he keeps pretending that atheists will not respond, even though tons demonstrably did. I don't know what's up with that, but he's now come up with a final question, again asserting that nobody will respond. So I guess I'll take up the challenge and answer his unanswerable question.
Hey guys, Dirty Christian here. So a lot of great dialogue with atheists on the questions that I've asked. Actually, for the most part, I've had some really good conversation, good questions, good comments, good feedback.
So if you've gotten all these answers, why in the world do you continue to claim that atheists won't answer you, even when you already acknowledge that they have? Even in your video description, you say that you've seen a great response from atheists to your video questions. Why are you still pretending that atheists refuse to answer you then? That makes no sense.
There's always one or two that are just kind of knuckleheads. Of course, there are lots of Christian knuckleheads too. So you guys, I think we're equal with that.
Now, I'm sure that questioning your motives here is going to lump me in with the knuckleheads, but I don't care because it's a legitimate question to ask. Why do you continue to pretend that nobody is going to answer you as though they're afraid of your questions when you admit that tons of atheists have already responded? What is your motivation for continually impugning the motives of atheists if they've already proven that your previous claims are false? I just don't get it.
But thank you for the good dialogue. So my final question for atheists is simply this, and I think that this is the mindset where this is going to define where you're at.
Actually, I think it's going to show more where you're at than it will say anything at all about me. Now, I'm not trying to insult this guy at all. He's asking questions, I'm providing answers, but I have to wonder what his motives are in asking some of these questions. Because clearly, he's got some preconceived notions that don't really follow from the questions. He's just trying to get atheists to come around to his way of thinking, even if his way of thinking makes no logical sense.
So if God was 100% proven to be real, you knew beyond a shadow of a doubt that God, the God of the Bible, was real. Would you, as an atheist, serve him and worship him?
And the answer is no. I would believe in God if it was as clear-cut and dried as you say, but serving God is an entirely different thing. Now, I've answered this question before with other theists, and I've pointed out the absurdity of lumping worship and subservience in with accepting this now proven God thing as real. What is this thing with worship? If they proved beyond a shadow of a doubt tomorrow that leprechauns were real, I wouldn't worship them either. What have they done to earn my adoration? Nothing. And the same thing goes for the God of the Bible.
I'm here really curious to hear your questions. Drop your questions in the comments below. Let's start a dialogue on there.
Well, here's mine. And I'm sorry that I'm pointing out the absurdity of the question, but it has to be said, even if it gets me into the knucklehead bin. Just because you want people to worship this thing doesn't mean that said entity has earned anyone's respect or veneration. I'm sorry, he just hasn't.
Sorry for the bad video quality, but I just didn't want to get all the production stuff ready and whatnot. So answer that in the comments below. I'm really curious to hear what you have to say. God bless, guys. Dirty Christian out.
Like I said, I've answered this exact same question many times. Most recently, I had a Muslim who asked the exact same thing and also tried to conflate belief in the existence of with worship. The two are absolutely not the same thing, and they have completely different requirements. Now, I know that this will get my answer completely disregarded, but what the heck, I'm already a knucklehead, so it doesn't hurt me to be an honest knucklehead, but the God of the Bible is a complete asshole. And no, don't go throwing around threats to make me comply. I don't care if this God is real and is going to send me to an eternity in hell if I don't kiss his ass. That's just going to make me detest him even more. He's earned it. Just because something is powerful and demands subservience doesn't mean that anybody's actually going to do it. Well, the weak-willed and weak-minded might, but I won't. Anything that wants my respect has to earn my respect. And since the only source I have to go by is the Bible, I have to say no. God hasn't earned my respect. The God of the Bible is a monster. It promotes and condones slavery. It's a mass murderer. It acts like a petulant child throwing temper tantrums. It demands torture and sacrifice. How could anybody worship that thing? How could you? And that's not meant to be an insult. It's an honest question. How could you worship this evil, sadistic prick? Just because he's powerful? So what? That's fear talking, not intelligence. I think George Carlin said it best, so I'll risk a copyright strike and let George speak for himself.
Think about it. Religion has actually convinced people that there's an invisible man living in the sky who watches everything you do every minute of every day. And the invisible man has a special list of 10 things he does not want you to do. And if you do any of these 10 things, he has a special place full of fire and smoke and burning and torture and anguish, where he will send you to live and suffer and burn and choke and scream and cry forever and ever till the end of time. But he loves you.
So that's my question to you. Why in the world would you worship this monster? Why would you bow down to a creature that has murdered millions of people in a flood, endorses slavery and torture, and hides from people so he can torment them for all eternity in a lake of fire? What possible justification can you find to kiss this monster's ass? I'd really like to know. We'll have to see if I get an answer, but I can't say I'm holding my breath.